Okay.
Sure.
All right. So what's your question?
Okay, so the first potential essay question talks about genetic variation in populations. Are you talking specifically about just genetic variation, or are you talking about genotype by environment?
So most of that is asking mostly about the genetic variation, because if you look at the essay question, it also asks, why do we care about that? And
Yes.
remember, if you have phenotypic variation with no genetic basis, then evolution's not working on it.
Exactly.
So we care about genetic variation because it's the prerequisite for selection to work and for evolution to work. So that's kind of the idea of why we care about it. Hey, Wesley. So the question I'm answering now is one of the essay questions that talks about the importance of variation. And so Danny was asking which kind of variation. Was it just genetic variation? And for that particular question, we were looking primarily at genetic variation because of its important role within evolution, right? So part of that essay question say, why do evolutionary biologists spend so much time talking about how do we get genetic variation? And it's because if you don't have it, you don't get evolution. So it's that prerequisite. So so it is talking about the genetic variation. And then I think that question also asks, what are two mechanisms by which you, or not two, but I don't think it specifies how many, what are mechanisms by which you can get that variation? And then part of the questions asks, how can you maintain that variation?
Yes.
So I don't know, were you going to ask about that part as well?
Oh, no, not necessarily.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure I was being specific as to
yes
what I'm talking about. Okay.
I'm just pulling up those essay questions.
Okay.
I miss you guys. I do.
Aw.
I miss my little group of kids.
I know. I miss Buddy running around the room, and not that I don't have plenty of buddies right here, but still. I do miss everyone. I don't think you realize how social we are as a species.
Oh my
God.
Yeah, I totally
So you're
agree.
stuck at home.
Yeah.
I mean, I still go to work right now, so I still get some socialization, I guess, in a sense. But
it's probably weird because are you guys like going out to the car to get the animals to bring them in and stuff like that?
The way we're doing it right now, because we really only do appointments in the mornings for an hour, and then the rest of the day we're doing surgery, so we don't have any foot traffic. So we're very so in the mornings is when we're the busiest, and what we do is when people get here, they call us, they wait in their car and let us know they're here and what vehicle they're in. But with what we do, the doctor kind of needs to speak to the owner to see how the animal's doing and everything. So most of the owners come in, we just don't bring them in until there's a room for them, and we never have more than like 2.
I see.
Because we have 3 exam rooms, and we won't bring anybody in unless they can go in a room.
Oh, that's
so we try to keep the traffic as low as possible. Some people that just have like rechecks are rescheduling their appointments, ones that aren't necessarily like a surgical consult or coming in for the actual procedure, or have like a serious concern with how their dog's recovering. But some of them are coming in with maybe the owners aren't quite sure how the pup's doing and have a lot of questions and stuff like that. And the doctor shows them exercises they have to do at home with the pet. So he kind of needs to have them.
Right.
So we haven't, or at least that's how it was last week when I left, but I haven't worked since Friday. So I don't think anything has changed, but that's kind of how we do it. And we're so small because he's the only doctor, and then there's 3 techs, but usually only 2 of us work at a time. So we don't have generally more than 10 people ever in there at once.
Yeah, but that's good. Yeah. It's crazy.
You still just never know with the people that we do bring in where they've been or haven't been. So
that's exactly right.
As clean as possible and stuff. So I just try to keep my distance as best as I can, but
yeah, it is.
I'm not really in a position where I can just like not show up either because of how small we are.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's rough. I mean, I feel fortunate that I can continue to do my job basically remotely. You know, I feel really fortunate to be able to do that and not to have to be on the front lines, because that's a scary place to be right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't even imagine. I mean, at least the animal field's a little bit less, but like the people doing it in the human medicine, my hat's off to them, because
I'll tell you what, I wonder how many people are going to change their career path
Their
as a
field.
result of this, you know?
No, but that's a good point, because my coworker, she's just finished nursing school for human medicine.
Right.
Like
It's
she's a
like,
vet tech, but she's going human nursing. And she said when she was doing, they still kept a lot of her clinicals going because they want the nurses.
Right. They need them.
But a lot of them, the people that were like her classmates, were basically like, more or less, she said, complaining or didn't want to go in. And I was like, why are you going into that field? Because you're the only people that can do it. Like, you can't. If you can't do that now, then it might not be the best field for you.
Right. Yeah. I bet you're going to have a lot of people saying, well, maybe vet school instead of med school and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But the vets are all still working too. I haven't heard of a single clinic close yet.
Wow.
That I know of. I know a lot of places have changed their operations with who comes in and whatnot.
I know
mine
has been meeting you at the door, or just bringing meds out to the car or whatever. I have to take mine in for hopefully her hip surgery tomorrow, and I'm sure they're just gonna meet us at the door.
Yeah.
Take her back.
Who's doing it? Is Dr. Oaks doing it?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Dr. Oaks at Tampa Bay?
Yeah. He did her last one, and I was real happy with it. And what my biggest concern, because Caitlin had mentioned your vet, and my biggest concern was because she's had the one hip done before, if this other side, because before he had said there was two, they could do a replacement or an FHO. And I know, I'm wondering if for stability, if he's going to think that she needs something a little bit more than just the FHO, since she's got one side. So I thought, well, if she might need the replacement, I know he does them. So,
yes, he does. Yeah, Tampa Bay does do the hip replacements. We don't do total hip replacement.
So that was the main reason, because I was going to see if maybe your vet could take her sooner, because she's been really in pain for a couple of weeks now. But but they got me in a little early. It was supposed to be Tuesday, and now they got me in tomorrow. So.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, no, Dr. Oaks, I think, is a very good surgeon. I've never had any surgeries done there personally, but knock on wood, none of my dogs have needed any serious surgeries.
That's good.
So
he did a great job on her other hip back in October. But now, because she's got the one hip that was just done in October, and the other one, her whole back end just goes out from under her, because she's not supporting it really well on the other side. So it's kind of so. Anyway, so there's all those challenges we all face right now, right?
Oh boy.
As long as we can keep our emotional state of mind in a somewhat okay place.
I have a garden.
Oh, that's awesome.
There you go.
Yes, you need a garden and a winery.
My sugar cane just sprouted the day before yesterday, or 2 days ago, so I'm so excited. I've never grown sugar cane before, so.
Nice. When I was a kid growing up in this area, we had horses, and we would just ride all over Pinellas County, because you could back then. And there was a lot of wild sugar cane that would grow, and we used to love finding the sugar cane patches, and so we just stop and like start gnawing on sugar cane. It was great.
Awesome.
I did have a question. I actually meant to email you, but then I forgot, and now that I have you here, I remembered. The quiz that we just took on chapter 7, the graph that you put in on bacteriophage wasn't in chapter 7. It was from chapter 5.
Really?
So
Same thing.
Yeah, I looked every page of the book afterwards. Like, I remember seeing you, and we did cover it, but I was like, oh my gosh, where is this thing after the quiz?
It's so weird.
And I looked through the PowerPoint, and I looked through the book, and then I found it, and it was in chapter 5 and on the chapter 5 PowerPoint. So I wasn't sure.
Okay,
I just winged it.
But
I'll
go back and just add points to that. Yeah, I'll go back and add points to that. I don't even remember when I was pulling the questions in. I got them from several places, but I thought they were all like previous chapter 7 quizzes or that
Mhm.
sort of thing. So I don't know why that one got pulled in, but I'll get rid of that one.
Okay,
Okay.
I freaked out and didn't answer it at all because I'm like,
What?
Yeah,
know
I
I've
just
seen
sat
this.
there and I
know
was
I've
like,
seen this.
I know we talked about bacteriophages, but I was like, I just reviewed the whole PowerPoint and I could have sworn I did not see that. And then, then I went on a hunt for it, and it is in chapter 5.
Yeah.
But
That's
so I just
kind
thought I'd
of
bring it up and
yeah.
just see what your thoughts were on it.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty applicable when you get to the chapter 7 where they talk about like
Okay.
neutral selectionist debate, because remember the neutral selectionist debate is asking whether or not most mutations are, if you're selectionist, you think that there's a lot of good mutations in the world and then
Mhm.
selection's operating on them. And that graph is showing you there's very few good mutations in the bacteriophage. Almost all of them were either neutral or harmful. So it does apply, but it still shouldn't have pulled something from another chapter. Yeah.
Okay.
Now
Yeah, I
our
just thought
next
I'd bring
one,
it up because I wasn't sure if you knew or not.
now our exam on next week is 5 through 9, right? So then it would
Yes.
be, so it is something you might see next week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm trying to, didn't you just post, I got an update or an email for a new, like an exam review. Did you post an exam review?
No, I
Or what?
didn't, because I was going to, I started it. And because a student had emailed me and asked if I could do that. And so I basically was going through and I took the outlines and I started making like define these terms. And I really was basically pulling the information off the outlines and off the PowerPoints. And what I felt about it is that by putting together this long list of terms, it kind of put everything out of context. Whereas I think when it's in the outline, you have that context. And so instead of just defining something, you go, oh, these are 2 ways that can happen. And these are 3 things that go with this. So I think it's really better to go and if you're wanting something like that, use the outline and fill in notes on the outline. And then use that PowerPoint that does like the review at the end of the chapter where it'll say like, explain this graph or whatever. So every chapter has a review PowerPoint that has those graphs on them. I would go ahead and look at those. What I can do though, what I will do is if I see any that are on there that I think are things I would not ask as far as like maybe the data interpretation, I can flag those and just kind of say, don't worry about, these particular figures.
So we can focus a little more on some of the other ones.
Okay. And make sure, yeah.
That'd be nice.
I'll do that. But, or, if I do go through the outlines and I find, wow, that we really did leave this particular section out, then I can make notes to that. But like I said, I really think it's more helpful to do it from the outline perspective than just, here's a whole bunch of terms, go look those up.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I just remember yesterday I got I think it was a notification or something that said something about exam review, and then I just never looked at it.
Oh, so there was another thing. I'm sorry. So tomorrow, no, I don't even know what day it is. So Sunday evening, I will do an optional review if anybody wants to pop in and ask questions.
I got it.
For the test on Monday. So I'm going to do one of these Zoom things on Sunday evening. Yeah.
Okay. And I remember you mentioned possibly doing a Kahoot still. Is that?
Oh, yes, I will do that.
Are we still doing that too?
Yeah, I'll post that. I have to go see if I have one. If not, I'll have to make one. But yeah, I'll figure out. I think I can just post it and then I share the link and I make it so that it's like a challenge or something. And by making it a challenge, it allows you to identify yourself, so I can give bonus points for it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then what I can also do is I'll have to see the settings. I know in a normal Kahoot you can access it as many times as you want. If I challenge it, I don't know if it restricts that. So I may have to figure out how to do that because I don't want you to do it and then be blocked from it. So if it's going to do that, I might not make it a challenge just so that you can go back and forth and go in and out of it. But even with that, I probably can tell who's accessed it for extra credit purposes. Yeah.
Would that be on Sunday as well, or is it kind of we all just do it as?
I'm going to probably put the challenge out there pretty like within the next day or so, and then you can work on it because I want it to be a study tool. You
Okay.
know, so if you want to wait till Sunday, that's fine, because maybe you're more ready for it. But I think it's it also might be something you want to try Saturday and then again on Sunday, because you want to see how, if you know where you need to work on that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
I had a
Awesome.
question, Dr. G. For Sunday, you said you're also doing like a tutorial for the bonus
Oh,
on
is that
Excel?
Sunday too? I thought I made that for after the test, because I didn't want you guys worrying about it before the test. So if I made
Okay.
it before the test, we'll move it,
Okay.
because the tutorial or the thing for the bonus, that was for the bonus assignment, right? For 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to make it before the test. I don't want you thinking about that before the test.
Okay.
So if it
And-
was, I'll just move it back to probably, let's see, our test is Monday, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought
Yes.
I thought I made the tutorial for Wednesday, so it was after the test. But if not, I'll double check that.
Okay.
But definitely it'll be after the test.
Okay. Thank you.
Hmm.
So but bonus 11 is still on Saturday, right?
This Saturday, was it?
Yeah, there's a bonus 11 on the 4th, which is this Saturday.
Okay, let me move that
Unless
one
you've
too.
moved it in the last like day or so.
No, probably haven't. So I need to move that one too, because again, I don't really want you doing stuff right before the exam that's a whole different topic and that sort of thing. So I'll move that one too. Let me make myself
Okay.
notes. Let me make a note here. Let me grab a pen.
Oh, maybe you already did move it. Hold on.
I might have, but
You might have
It's all-
moved. I write like I write a note out at the beginning of each week of what I have due what days. So mine might not be updated.
well, and unfortunately, so many things have been changing, because, you know, I didn't want to like have a whole bunch due right when this all first hit, because everybody was just like trying to get their feet under them, you know.
Amen.
Yeah,
you know?
just trying to. It's stressful as it is, just dealing with the unknown of what is even
Everything,
happening.
right, everything. Forget about school,
Yeah.
just everything else. Exactly. I know.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's
yeah. So it's still up there. Bonus 11 on Saturday.
okay. So I'm gonna move bonus 11.
Okay.
And I don't remember. I'll check on that. Also the bonus 10 one that you were asking about, and when that meeting is. I'll make sure that that's scheduled for after the test.
Yeah, I just looked at it and it says April 8th, so I think we're good. I think I got
okay.
confused with the bonus.
Okay.
Other
Or maybe
one, yeah.
maybe with the exam review. Maybe you got it confused with because they're both Zoom meetings, I think.
Oh yeah, I see it.
That Zoom meeting will be in the morning.
Which one?
The one on the 8th.
Yes, because I'm trying to do it around class time. But
Okay.
if you have another time that you would like to meet to go over it, and then let me know, and I'll put it out there. And if anybody else wants to do it, we can do it.
Okay, because I was going to see if I could maybe do it because that same morning we have a comp phys exam.
Oh, okay.
So if I could, I don't know if I could maybe sign on at a different time. And
Well,
I don't want to miss it particularly, but I also probably won't want to sign on just before my exam.
Well, what I can do with that one is I'll record it.
Okay.
And then you can take a look at that and see if it walks you through it enough. And then if it doesn't, there's also some video tutorials that I can put out there that show how to do some of those things.
Okay.
Because that one is, I made it optional because, again, it is a little intense with Excel, but it does teach you, if you haven't used Excel a lot, it does teach you a lot of important things on how to do like a frequency histogram using Excel, how to sort data, you know, how to do lots of different things. So it's probably more about, you know, Excel usage as a scientist than it is really the actual concept, which is how do they measure selection in this population of finches.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to try to do it if I can. I just realistically probably won't sign on.
Right.
I just don't know exactly when she's opening the exam, if it's going to be at class time or if we just have the morning. I don't really know exactly what we're doing. I just know it's on that morning.
Well, and I mean, in the greater scheme of things, it doesn't make sense to put time into a bonus for a few points right before a big test in another class where you might use your time more wisely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Dr. Gingrich,
guys-
I have a
yeah.
question
Yeah.
about the second part of our mini paper. I was looking
Okay.
for information on that in the module, and I didn't see specific instructions. I may have
Okay.
just missed them.
I'll go ahead and try to post something too, but so what you want to do with the second part, and I've got to get your first part back to you guys so you can make some of those corrections. So what you want to be able to do in that is to apply some of the corrections and comments that I'll give back to you. But
Okay.
really, the only thing you really need to add to it is if, whatever you're studying, if there's either another hypothesis that could be used to explain it. So let's say that they were explaining like mobbing behavior in seagulls. So a predator comes up and all these seagulls go over and mob the predator. And maybe one hypothesis is that they're protecting their kin. So they're in a group of related individuals. And so that's one hypothesis. Maybe the other hypothesis is that they're it's called the dilution effect. By being in a big group, the probability of you dying is actually less than if you're by yourself. So those are two different hypotheses that would explain that behavior. So if your first paper dealt with one, then your second paper can talk about that second hypothesis.
Okay.
So if you don't have that, so if I have a hypothesis, but there really aren't alternatives out there, which is actually kind of hard to believe because almost everything has an alternative explanation in biology. But if you can't identify what would that alternative explanation be, then just provide more data and more maybe examples of the same hypothesis.
Okay.
So either way. So if there's an alternative, great. If not, then just give more data to support the one that you were talking about in your first paper.
Okay.
So you basically want to add like 2 more references. And so you'll have to go back obviously and probably add a little bit to your intro because you're going to have to incorporate the new stuff. And then expand your discussion because you're going to have that new stuff in there. But a lot of your paper, about half of it really at least should already be written.
Okay.
So we're not adding like a whole lot to it. There's not a particular word count, like another 500 words, another like.
I would say, what was the first one? I
think it was 600 to 700, I think.
Yeah, I would say about maybe 400 or so words added to it. Most people are finding that it's actually hard to get the low word. Most people are saying, boy, to cover this, I'm having a hard time staying that low. So it's not usually an issue with that. It's harder to kind of keep it below as opposed to reaching it. But yeah, since you have the most of it there, you're just adding a little bit, like almost like one body, one supporting paragraph, and then a little bit into the intro and a little bit into the discussion, and you should be good.
Okay.
And maybe another figure if you have a good figure in the second one. That way you would have maybe a figure that supports both sides or supports 2 different sets of data that talk about the same hypothesis.
Okay.
Okay. So that's kind of all we have, isn't it? We have the mini paper, like the other half of the paper, just the weekly assignments, and then we have one more exam after this one and the final.
Yeah, there's one more exam, and that one will be, we'll leave it on. Well, we're going to have to leave those on pretty much the same dates that they are because we run out of time. So if we don't cover the material, we'll just put on the exams whatever we actually cover. And then the optional final. So the optional final is all multiple choice. And now on that one, I know there's some concern about obviously the change in testing format going online. It's a little bit tricky because not being able to go back is kind of scary when you're answering questions, and so on the final, that won't be as big of an issue because basically I'll say, okay, I'm going to open it for these 2 hours, and you can go in and take it. It's all multiple choice. And in that case, if I randomize the questions and 2 people are taking it, even if they got on the phone and said, hey, let's take the test together, it would be a nightmare trying to do that, right? Because everybody's going to get them in a different order. And when you've got 100
Okay.
questions and you're like, hey, go find this question, that's not going to work. Whereas on the smaller ones, people could do that. Not, I mean, and you know what we have to do is try to protect those honest people from the dishonesty. So you know, most 99% of people wouldn't think of doing stuff like that, but then for the ones that do, it's not fair to everybody else. So
No.
you try to protect that integrity as best you can. The other option would be, so if people find that so let's say on this test, if the timing issue is really problematic, the other thing I could do is I could invite those of you who say, look, I need to go back and forth on an exam, if you would be willing to take it in a Zoom meeting. So you've got your camera on, you're in Zoom, but you're taking the test at the same time, where I could watch people take the test. I wouldn't have any problem with you going back and forth. But if I can't see what's going on, I don't know, you know, if 10 people, well, hopefully you're not 10 people sitting in the same room, because then you're against the law, right? But you know, just to try to protect that. So, you know, if you find that that's the case, and if you know, like with that quiz, if you thought that was really super stressful for it to be where you couldn't go back, we can do that. Again, what we'd probably have to do, and what we'd have to do is figure out a way for you to Zoom maybe on your phone, because you would be taking the test on your computer. And I don't know if you can Zoom and test at the same time, but if you had an iPad or another computer that you could Zoom, where I could just, and you wouldn't have, nobody would be talking, we'd have you all silenced, but I could just watch people taking it. So let me know if you feel that that's an issue, and I can set it up that way. I was just trying to not make everybody show up at the same exact day and time in a Zoom meeting, because some people don't have webcams. You know, like your schedule might be different now. You know, a lot of people are trying to get extra hours because they don't know what's going on and how long it's going to last and stuff like that. So I was trying to be as flexible with the testing as I can, but then also to protect it so that, you know, I get what I hope is a good measure of someone's knowledge.
So with this next exam, we won't be able to go back.
No, but again, if you felt like on that quiz it was really a problem, I could do that. I would just want us to be in a Zoom meeting to do it.
Okay. Yeah, like that quiz, what I would have probably done is more for the essay questions. If I'm running low on time, I like to try to do the ones that I know I have a lot for, and or if I finish the test and can write more, I go back and add.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Like that's what I like to do is I'll write something and then I go back and I add what I can if I have time. So like that bacteriophage, I would have I put something down, but then I ran out of time on the last question when I felt like I should have probably answered the last question before the graph.
Do you think it would be easier if I put the essay like in its own separate quiz? Like let's say the data interpretation and the essay, like in a whole separate quiz from the short answer multiple choice, and gave a little bit more time on it. And
that would be awesome.
On that one, I could allow you to kind of go back and forth. On the data interpretation essay, there would be a little bit more ability to move around on the test. Whereas in the short answer multiple choice, it's a little bit more sequential. You have to go through it.
I would like that, just because then it just gives me the chance of, like, if I get an essay question that I either don't know, I'm not stuck there trying to figure it out, when then the next 4 questions could be something where I was like, oh darn, I actually had a lot to say about that, but I really wanted to answer this one.
Yeah.
You know?
So what I'll do is I'll take the ones that are a little bit more writing, the data interpretation and the essays, and I'll split the test in 2. And so you won't be able to go backwards on the multiple choice one, but you will go backwards on the other one. And then I'll also make it so that they, I'm not sure exactly how to do this, whether they should both open at the same time, so you have a choice as to which one you want to start first. That'll
be hard though, because if you do it at the same time, people then can do one portion first and then the other, like,
Right.
I don't
And
know.
then flip it. Like you do essay first, I'll do this, and then yeah. So I think what I'll do is I'll probably mandate that, okay, first we're gonna do short answer, multiple choice, and that'll be open from, whatever time for like an hour. And then after that I'll open the other one. So they'll
Mhm.
be sequential. Yeah.
Okay.
Works for me.
Works for me
That-
too. How much
Me
time will
too.
we have for each, Dr. Gingrich?
So usually, like for multiple choice short answer, we try to time it where you have roughly 1 to 2 minutes per question.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That one would probably be around 35 to 40 minutes.
Okay.
And then for the other one, I would give a little bit more time. For
Mhm.
the data interpretation, I'd probably give, like, say, 10 minutes or so for an essay, and maybe
Okay.
5 minutes per data interpretation question.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's a little tougher when you're having to type things. So I might change that, lengthen that a little bit. I mean, truthfully, if I use the essay questions that are there, I mean, a lot of people are going to kind of have already thought about those and perhaps written them up and stuff like that. So I don't think that the timing is going to be too critical on that, on the essay portion. So yeah, so probably about, say, about maybe 40 minutes and 40 and 40, 40 and 30, something like that.
Okay.
Works. I don't think I have any other questions.
Okay.
I don't either.
Well,
Thank you.
just email me if you do. There'll be another Zoom meeting on Sunday afternoon for any sort of last minute test questions review. Once I set up the test, I will also put a notice up there so you can expect, what we've talked about here, so people will know the format of the test, how it's going to be slightly different than the quiz, in terms of it being in 2 separate parts, that kind of stuff. Okay.
Mhm. Okay.
If you have any
Thank
questions,
you.
Thank you, Dr. Gingrich.
all right. Thanks for showing
Thank
up.
you.
Have a good day.
Bye.
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 Good to
Bye.
see you.
Good to see you guys.